The first 30 minutes in DayZ decide everything, and most players get them wrong. It's not about getting geared, it's about staying alive long enough to move on and knowing when you're ready. Leave too early and you're not ready for the threats ahead. Stay too long and you're just stacking risk. So in this guide, I'll give you a simple system to survive the early game and know exactly what you need before you move. Hunger, thirst, cold, other players, and time. These are the things that kill you in the first 30 minutes. In the early game, you're not trying to get geared. You're trying to eliminate these risks as quickly as possible. So let's deal with them one by one. The first and most obvious threat is your basic needs. We need something to eat and drink. But just like in real life, hunger and thirst are slow killers. Your goal as a freshie isn't to be full apple and have a backpack full of food before you move on. You just need enough to get you to your next location without your health dropping. So we look for food in the places where we're most likely to find it. Houses, cars, kiosks, greenhouses, supermarkets, and, surprisingly enough, bus stations. They're not very common, but they often spawn enough food to get you moving again. If you've spawned in an area where lots of people F11 to get a better spawn, check their bodies for loot. Some people recommend waiting around orchards for fruit to spawn. The problem is, you're wasting time, the calories are low, and you're highly visible, so I'd avoid that. Now, for thirst. If I had to choose the #1 priority as a fresh spawn, it would be water. Drinking at a well is probably one of the riskiest things you can do in DayZ, but we don't have much of a choice. So drink as much as possible until you see the stomach symbol and just hope you don't get shot while doing it. Sometimes this is the only thing I do before I leave the spawn area. I drink as much as I can at the well and run for the next town. Because the longer you stay, the more risk you take. Once you drank up and you found a bit of food, you're stable. But you are not safe. Time is working against you. The longer you stay in the spawn area, the more likely it is that something goes wrong. More players pass through, more chances to get spotted, and more time spent looting places that have already been picked clean. This is where a lot of players go wrong. They stay too long, looking for better gear, more food, or the perfect start. Early game is not about perfection, it's about momentum. So don't loot every house, don't double back, and don't wait around for things to spawn. Just get what you need and get out. Now, of course, if you're close to a police station or a military, go for it. But don't go out of your way to find a gun. Especially in the early game, you should know when enough is enough. So what does enough actually look like? The focus in early game is not on looking like a badass. DayZ is not a fashion show. I mean, it can be if you want it to, but that won't help you survive. When we leave the spawn area, we want to be able to stay operational for a while. So our focus is on getting the items that will help us deal with common problems. Because in DayZ, it's often the small things that get you killed. A wound you cannot treat, nothing to start a fire with, a can of food you cannot open. So you want a few key things that give you options. A knife is the most important one. It lets you open food, craft hooks, collect bark, cut up animals, and make rags, just to name a few. It's what gives you independence. A rope takes that one step further, letting you craft a fishing rod so you're not dependent on looting towns. Remember, you can craft a rope from guts or 12 rags. Disinfectant helps you deal with injuries properly, preventing small problems from turning into something serious. You do not want to be in the middle of nowhere with a blood infection. Gloves come in handy as well to prevent bloody hands and getting salmonella. If you don't find any, you can craft them yourself from rags. Basic repair items like duct tape or a sewing kit keep your gear functional. so it doesn't fail you when you need it. And finally, any sort of bag is convenient, so we actually have some space to carry things. Because we want to loot as quickly as possible instead of fiddling around with the inventory. Just throw everything in there and worry about inventory management later in a bush. Now, I know, none of these items are exciting, but they are what make you self-sufficient. Because once you can deal with problems yourself, you stop relying on luck and start surviving consistently. And then there's other players. The biggest threat in DayZ by far is other people. Not because they're geared, but because they want gear. And with almost nothing to lose, they are far more likely to take risks. Even if it's just a fist fight and you do win it, you'll probably end up with yellow health. It is just not worth it. So by default, avoid people. Be fast, be stealthy, and be suspicious of anyone else, even if they say they're friendly. There is one exception to this rule. If you are looking for a team up, it's best to do it in a spawn town. You've got a better chance making friends as a fresh spawn than later on in the game. If you want to get better at making friends, I've got a full guide on how to avoid KOS and actually make friends. But early on, the safest play is simple. Stay out of sight and stay in control. And finally, cold. On most maps, cold isn't what kills you first, but it speeds everything else up. You burn through calories faster, you lose energy quicker, small mistakes become big problems. You'll see this early on with the temperature indicator. Light blue means you're cold, and it's already affecting you. Dark blue means you're freezing and directly losing health. Cold also makes you more vulnerable to getting sick, which can quickly turn a stable situation into a bad one. On maps like Sakal or Namalsk, cold isn't just a modifier. It is the main threat. Even early on, you want to stay dry, stay warm, and avoid being exposed for too long. So, that knife we talked about earlier, we absolutely need that to make a fire, so we can dry our clothing and get a plus symbol. And instead of inventory space, we prioritize clothing with high insulation, even if it won't win you a fashion show. The cold probably won't kill you directly, but it will make everything else kill you faster. So in those first 30 minutes, don't focus on getting geared. Focus on getting stable and operational. Drink up, don't waste time, make sure you can handle problems, avoid people, and adapt to the environment. Do just that and you'll stop dying early. Hey, this is just one part of getting better at DayZ. If you want to get the most out of your runs, subscribe to the channel for other guides. Hope to see you in the next run.